might have noticed, we have a new member tonight. Her name's Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly, welcome to the group.
Do you guys want to go around and make some introductions?
I'm Lynn.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, nice to meet you. I've been coming to therapy for the last 2 months, and I think you're really gonna enjoy the group. It's a safe place to open up and,
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I'm Sarah. I just got done with my first year.
Nice.
I'm Andrew. I've been coming for 6 months.
I enjoy myself.
Struggling with some anxiety and depression.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm 18 and I've been coming here for a year.
Oh, hi, Chloe.
Hi.
Chloe and I'm Kimberly. Kardashian.
Okay, Kimberly, do you want to share with everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
I'm an open book, but yeah, no, I just recently got word that I'm gonna go back to work, and I do have a 8-month-old baby girl, and I'm just very anxious about going back to work, and I sometimes don't know how to deal with it because I don't want to leave my baby. You know, she's 8 months, and I, finally got the courage to come and do therapy, and I'm just very, very anxious. I feel that I'm going to be losing out a lot on her, and I really don't want to go back to work, but I have to. My husband works, but I also have to work now, so yeah.
Very understandable.
I remember having to leave my kids when I went into the workforce. What helped me was just knowing that, I knew where they were gonna be at. It was a safe place for them. They were gonna be well taken care of. I could call them anytime that I felt the need. I was missing them and just wanted to check in. My sister-in-law was the one taking care of them, so she was very open to me calling her and just being able to speak with them, so I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But you remember having that anxiety
Yes,
and what it was like.
Yes, I would be, crying going to work because I felt bad, like I should be there for them, My mom was a big advocate of, raising your kids, but in these times, sometimes you need incomes to.
Yeah.
Very understandable. Andrew, I saw you kind of shaking your head or nodding your head along. What were you, did you have any thoughts that you wanted to share from the father's perspective?
Yeah, I only had a couple weeks off for when I had a child, but I do remember felt like I was missing out a lot from just not being there, but I tried to make the most of it when I was there. But I think it's a normal, natural feeling that it's like anybody in that situation feels that way.
Yeah, it's hard though, how can you overcome that feeling?
That's a big question that people have when they're in the thick of the anxiety is how can I overcome this?
Right.
Does anybody have any thoughts? Or
Well, when I would call and check in, my kids were doing great. It was me that was the one,
Right.
having the rough time. My kids were happy, they were playing and being with other kids and just, socializing,
and how did that part make you
it
feel?
made me feel great. Like I would hang up the phone like, okay, thank you, but I needed that for a little while. And then after a while, I didn't need those check-in calls because I already, when you get into a routine and the kids know that where they're going and who's gonna take care of them and who they get to see, they get excited. Mommy, I wanna go see, my cousin or my friend or whoever was gonna be there that day. And so that gave me peace knowing I'm looking forward to it. It's me that has to get over it.
But the good thing with you is that you have someone that taking care of, your children, and I don't. I have to take my daughter to daycare, and you don't know what kind of people go there or how they treat the kids, so that's even adding even more to my anxiety,
Yes.
not knowing who's gonna care for my daughter.
The unknown.
The unknown, exactly.
So if you were to dive into that fear of the unknown, what is really the core fear of that? What do you think you're really afraid of?
I'm afraid that someone's not gonna care the way I'm gonna care for her.
I can understand that.
Very valid, right?
Absolutely.
What kind of parent do you guys think Kimberly sounds like?
Compassionate, hands-on, 100%, 1,000% invested in her child's safety and well-being. And I will say that I have a neighbor that had to take her children to preschool. She didn't have any family there, out of state. Her husband's in the military, but the school that her child goes to allows for you have an app or something on your phone, and you're able to see when you're ready to see what's going on in that classroom. How's my child doing? And it's very they encourage that. And then if you need a little extra, most times the teacher will know, let me send the mother this update, so it'll give her peace before she has to reach out to us.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. Yeah, but the daycare that I'm taking her, I'm low income, so they haven't told me anything about cameras or apps or anything like that, so maybe I need to look more into it.
That's an option. Chloe, how are you feeling, and what are you thinking about Kimberly going back to work and?
Good. Yeah, your question was what kind of mother do you think Kimberly is? I think she's involved, very caring. Yeah, I think I agree everything she said.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking into what kind of daycare they provide and what stuff they provide.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do you feel comfortable sharing with Kimberly, since she's new and she wasn't here last week when you made your announcement?
Sure, I recently found out I was pregnant. I'm 18, so I'm looking into colleges and figuring everything out, so it's very hard for me. So yeah, I've been going through a lot lately, but trying to navigate all of it.
Yeah. No, you've been doing a really, really good job.
Thank you.
And the type of environment that we have is, it's a safe environment. The members are very good about not judging. Everybody has their own story, and so I'm so glad that you guys have felt safe to talk about the things that have been bringing you some concerns and anxiety and all of that. So everyone has had their starting points and what has brought them in, and with therapy and a nice sense of community, people have been doing a lot better in the here and now. Does anyone want to talk about the here and now and where they started and how they?
I'll share.
Okay, Sarah.
I feel like when I first started, I really was struggling to speak up for myself. I think growing up, I was really taught to just listen to what other people were telling me and not question it or not, have my own opinion about it. And so it's taken a lot for me to finally work through some of those and have the courage to go out and talk to somebody and say, actually, this is how I feel about this, and accept how they react to that without taking it personally and feeling like that's some reflection of me or that I'm wrong for having an opinion different from theirs. And sometimes it's been hard in some of the relationships because they're people I love and care about and don't like to cause that conflict, but it's been really nice to be able to get it off my chest and open up and speak up for myself a little bit.
And how has it been for you at the end of the day? In the moment, I know it can be uncomfortable to be in active confrontation or maybe just not on the same page as somebody, but at the end of the day, how has it been for you knowing that you were able to speak up for yourself?
It's definitely given me peace. I think I used to take a lot of that to bed with me, and I would sit there and feel like I just wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have said that, or am I gonna overthink this part and hurt somebody's feelings? And it's nice to just get it out there. I found that even though it's a really rough moment to share how I'm feeling, and then for them to react, it has ended up a lot better down the road now that we've had some of those communications and they're getting used to me having my own voice and respecting that and setting those boundaries, so overall I would say it's been really good that I can feel like I did what I can and I left it out there, and then how they react is on them, which is something I
when she's talking about, kind of keeping things in and not saying something, I relate to that. Cause I tend to do the same thing, kind of maybe just, maybe if I don't say anything, hey, tomorrow it'll be better,
Yeah.
or like, I don't wanna make things worse by standing up or saying something, so I kinda,
Keeping
I
the pace, is that what you
I
said?
kinda know what you talk, I feel like I understand what you talk about, but then I also, the few times when I, do initiate or talk about something, things can get better quicker, and so I do think, and so like you like standing up for yourself or talking or just talking, it does kind of, even though it's uncomfortable, I've found a lot of that's been helpful to me too.
Cause if I remember correctly, you had a lot of moments where if you had to have a conversation with somebody, it would stir up that anxiety for you.
Yeah.
It's definitely very stressful, like not knowing how it's gonna go, not sure what the fallout will be. I've had to kind of put that in the back of my mind and just say I can't worry about that part yet, you know?
That's the key, that's the key. Once we let go of what we can't control as much, that's when it feels a little bit lighter for us. And that's the truth, is that we can be honest about how we feel, we can be honest about, reservations that we have about certain places and things like that, but we can't control what the outcome is going to be or how somebody's going to respond. But it sounds like a theme that you can feel lighter, you have more peace at the end of the day, and peace is the opposite of anxiety. So when you're going through it and you have a big decision to make, or you're worried about something, peace sounds very good at that moment, but it's scary when we can't figure out how to get that. But it sounds like the baby steps and honesty, transparency, having courage to speak up and, do research about what decisions are the best for them, for people, that goes a long way. Lynn, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm a people pleaser, so I have a hard time.
Any people pleasers here?
I have a hard time pushing back a little bit, so I kind of just go with the flow, kind of like what Paul said about hoping that tomorrow will just be better, so I don't have to address something, because I don't want to hurt somebody or make things worse between us. So coming to therapy, in my generation, that wasn't something that you do, and so it took me a long time to even, I think I knew I needed help, but I didn't know how was that gonna look like, what is my family gonna think about me, or my husband, is that gonna show that I'm weak or that I can't deal with stuff, and
Real quick, you said something that's so key, for the members that are people pleasers. Usually the underlying issue with people pleasing is you tend to be really worried about how you are being perceived by the other person. That part is scarier than being honest about what you want, it's as easy as if you're in the car with your significant other and, they ask you what you want to eat and you tell them what you want to eat and then they say that they would prefer something else. Well, if you really tell them what you really want, it's not really about the food at that point. It's about, is he or she going to still accept me for having a difference of opinion? So a lot of times, so you just nailed it on the head. That's the key thing, is how am I going to be perceived in this?
Yes. So coming to therapy, I look forward to it now. In the beginning, it was something, was hard for me to come every week, but I would do it because I knew what are the options. What I'm doing now is not working for me. So coming to therapy was a big step for me, and surprisingly, my family has encouraged me. They're happy, that I'm coming to therapy.
Do you think they've noticed a difference in you?
Yeah, they said that I don't seem so nervous. I guess I used to look nervous. I didn't know that about me, but I guess I was always worried, like if I cry or if I get emotional, they're gonna think that I can't handle something, but I want to be strong. That's how I was raised, is just be strong and kind of just out.
Mhm.
But here I can be safe, I feel safe sharing what I'm really feeling, and that helps me, get it out of my system and, go home. And
I think you bring up a good point, and I feel like right now would be a good time for us to do a little reflection for those of us that have been in group for a while. And Kimberly, since this is your first time, it might be nice to hear about what the members, what their reflection has been like for group therapy. Any volunteers who wants to go first and just talk about how group therapy has affected them positively or negatively, or
Sure, I can go. Well, it's definitely been positive for me. Excuse me. One thing I knew I needed help, but I didn't I wasn't maybe embarrassed or shy or didn't want people to know I knew I needed help, so I didn't tell anybody. So nobody knew I was coming to therapy. But as I went, the longer I came, I felt more comfortable with it, seeing the good, I was feeling better. And so then I wasn't as embarrassed or shy or afraid to acknowledge and tell people that I did get help, because, I don't know, maybe because I felt like it was working, and so I felt like I was more confident saying that I had tried something and it worked. So I kind of relate a little bit to that. But, so, before therapy, I, was very anxious, always kind of, it really started when I was a kid. I always kind of I thought everybody was that way. A kid, you just don't know any different. So I thought maybe everybody felt depression, and I can remember being a little kid thinking, oh, it'd be better if I just wasn't here or something. And so, and then as I got older, just kind of kept going, and I can remember hearing my parents arguing and fighting about money. And so as a little kid, I remember just having a huge focus on money. And then as I got older, it was a lot of anxiety around money. And then I had a failed marriage, and then all of a sudden that added some depression involved, and then added the stress of alimony and money and all that. So then it really kind of,
came full
that's
circle.
when it came to the rock bottom for anxiety and depression, and that's when I came in here. And so then it really was, I just kind of laid it all out there and was knowing I needed some help, and I felt comfort in knowing I'm not the only one that kind of has those feelings, and that even though a lot of us do have those kind of feelings, not everybody does, but a lot of people do, and that there's talking about it helps. It's helping.
So if you had to reflect on your journey with therapy, what would be the best way to describe how it's affected you
It's
in the here and now?
it's allowed me to be more present and be happy for what I do have, and I'm a planner, so it's I can make some plans and get things lined up and get rid of my anxiety, and then so that's kind of
Okay.
it's hard for me to explain it all, but
You're doing great. Yes, you are, and you've come a really long way. And I'm proud of you. You're doing great. I think from what I remember, if I remember correctly, I remember it was very difficult for you to share some of the things that you were going through at the time, because you didn't really know what to expect, for the environment. Are people going to judge me? A lot of that. Am I going to be judged for feeling this way? Am I going to be looked at as weak for having these emotions and things like that? And you have been a very supportive member. When other members have been going through things, you've been very supportive toward them. Especially last week when Chloe made her announcement
Yes.
about some of the anxieties that she has had because of her expecting. I felt like everybody was really supportive for Chloe, and yeah. How did you feel, Chloe, last week when you shared the news?
Yeah, well, I was never like raised around good communication, so coming to therapy has helped me be able to express myself more. But yeah, definitely, I was always worried about what others are gonna think of what I'm going through. But in reality, a lot of people are going through worse than what I'm going through. So just being able to understand other people's stories has helped me just gain, more just be more at ease, and be able to express myself more.
Yeah, that's the great thing about therapy is we all bring in our own, we come in and we put our baggage right next to, and we all have it. Maybe not all the same clothing is in the suitcase, but we all have our stuff. And the goal is to maybe leave with that baggage feeling a little lighter than when we walked in. Well, anything that anybody wants to talk about specifically? I wanna make sure that we have time, if anyone wanted to bring up something that's come up.
I know last week we touched on me being anxious and kind of lonely because I work from home since COVID. My company decided that after COVID, we were all gonna still work from home. And I was good with it. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But then after a while, you kind of feel lonely. I don't have that connection, that face to face and that, water cooler conversation going on, or just those little, hi, how you doing? It's all through computer, and there's just that human element is lost. So what I found myself doing to kind of make up for that is be more intentional with making dates with my girlfriends and people that I normally would see at work once a month. Hey, is anybody open to going to dinner? And that has helped a lot. And when we do get to see each other, we're all so happy because we're all feeling the same way. And nobody was really talking about, nobody does it through the computer, but when we really treasure and value the time that we do have, which I think has even made our relationship stronger. So it's really, really, really been nice. Yeah.
So, what I'm hearing is, circumstances changed, you didn't feel as connected with your community, and it made the time that you had together more precious.
Yes.
And I'm kind of hearing not exactly the same, but a similar thing as what maybe Kimberly might be going through when she goes, her circumstance is going to change, that's going to be an adjustment. But the time that you are able to spend with your daughter will be very, very precious to you.
But Lynn, you and I could trade jobs if you want.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I would love to work from home,
Yeah.
but I'm really gonna look into that, because
Yeah.
I'd rather work from home.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I can tell, that a way that you work through your anxiety is really trying to problem solve.
Yeah.
You seem like a really good problem solver. Do you guys pick that up from Kimberly as well?
Absolutely.
Because not everybody deals with their anxieties that way, right? Like, Sarah, I remember you would talk about in the beginning that you just maybe sometimes it felt more comfortable to avoid, avoid a situation, but avoiding doesn't always work the best. Sometimes it's necessary, if there's no solution to be had, but it sounds like you're a very good problem solver.
Thank you. I try.
How are you feeling so far in therapy? What are your thoughts about our group?
I think this is a really good group. You guys all make me feel very comfortable, Lynn, with all of your experiences. You make me feel like you're my mom. I'm good. We should exchange numbers.
We
because,
definitely can.
Yeah, you make me feel very comfortable. You should become a therapist.
Lynn has wonderful
Okay.
life experience,
Yes,
that's
she
true.
does.
Yeah.
But yeah, you all, thank you for sharing, and I know that I'm new and all, but yeah, you guys all made me feel comfortable, and I definitely wanna come back.
Oh,
Good. We're happy to have you.
Definitely, it's a good.
It's like our little community family.
Yeah,
Definitely,
and we all
definitely.
need that, outside our circle of friends.
For sure.
I think I've learned that I'm not alone in what I feel,
Yeah.
that there's a lot of people that feel that safe place and I could say anything,
Mm-hmm.
not be judged. So
Yeah.
I really
And
appreciate
that's
that.
important.
Yes. So a goal that I had in mind, when I knew you were coming tonight as your first time, was that you would feel comfortable enough to share about the things that you shared about, so I'm really glad that you did. So, do you feel like that was the goal was maybe met, that you felt comfortable?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. I definitely, I was a little skeptical at first,
Mhm.
but yeah, just getting to know all of you and, you know, you guys opening up a little bit and made me feel a lot more comfortable.
Very, very, very right on, because, did anybody else feel skeptical when starting group therapy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't think I thought I'll go once and I'm probably not gonna
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
and not come back.
Mhm.
But like I said, I look forward to coming.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I look forward to coming too. Like, if I say it's Monday and I have a rough day, I can just, I think of him as long as I can get, you know, I can't wait to talk about this in my group,
Yes.
or, you know, it's something I look forward to, and I know, just sometimes just listening to what other people say, knowing you're not alone in this, it always seems to make me feel better.
Well, you guys do a great job of showing each other respect. I mean, so far when everyone has had their time to talk, you know, there hasn't been any interruptions or any rude comments or anything like that. And that respect really creates a warm and safe environment for our therapy. So you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you for allowing us. I feel like
I look forward to it too. You guys aren't the only ones that look forward to our Thursday nights. I look forward to it a lot. And I always love having a new member, and I hope everything gets worked out and you are able to, yeah. But we'll see you next week. Okay. And Chloe, you too?
Yes.
Next week, doing
Yeah.
good? Any updates on anything, or everything's still about the same?
Yeah, everything's the same. I was gonna share that, with girls my age, cause I'm 18, so
Yes.
girls my age, they could be like pretty harsh, so sometimes I could feel lonely, so coming to group therapy is very beneficial, you know, to socialize as well. I might not think I need it, but
yeah.
it's been very beneficial.
Yeah, well, we're so happy to have you, Chloe. We are.
And anything that we can do to help you, we're all here for you. Well, I know.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a lot of baby girls too.
Um,
If you have a girl.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, that's exciting. Well, okay, you guys, I think it was a great session, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you so
All
much.
right, good night, you guys. Help
Good night.
yourselves to some water, and I will see you next week.
Thank you
Okay,
so
thank
much.
you.